Prominent lawyer Sir Kina Bona appointed as judge. PNC member and Samurai Murua MP responds to court decision. Karkar Islanders raise concerns on seabed mining.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Bartulo.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday's news. The Judicial and Legal Services Commission today swore in Sir Kina Bona as a new judge to the National and Supreme Courts of PNG. He will serve as a judge for a term of 10 years. The swearing-in ceremony took place at the Government House and was witnessed by Governor-General Sir Michael Ogio.
Sir Kina's appointment as a judge brings the total number of judges of the National and Supreme Courts to 32.
And declare that I will well and truly serve the independent state of Papua New Guinea and its people in the office of a judge of the National and Supreme Courts.
The Judicial and Legal Services Commission and the Minister for Justice, Anopala, recognized him as a man with a wealth of experience in legal knowledge and administration. Sir Kina from Milne Bay Province is married with one child. Today, in front of the Governor-General, he signed the documents and promised to be truthful in serving the Judicial Commission.
I, Sir Kina Bona, KBE, realizing fully the responsibilities to which I am committing myself and the consequences of not living up to this declaration and those responsibilities, freely and willingly declare my loyalty to the independent state of Papua New Guinea.
Sir Kina was the president of the PNG Law Society and has been the senior legal counsel with the Albastro law firm since 2013. His term in the Judicial and Legal Service Commission is 10 years. Tere Alex, National EMTV News.
Ousted member for Samurai Murua, Gordon Wesley, said he respects the decision of the National Court. He made the comments today following headlines that the National Court declared his 2012 national election victory null and void after it found him guilty of bribery. Mr. Wesley also appealed to the people of Samurai Murua to remain calm and respect the rule of law.
Mr. Wesley held a media conference today in Port Moresby following a front-page story that announced that he was no longer a member of parliament following a court ruling. The National Court in Alotau, Milne Bay Province found the three-term MP guilty of bribery during the 2012 national elections. Mr. Wesley said in his 3 terms since 2002, his election victories have always been challenged in the Court of Disputed Returns.
Your mandate has always been challenged in the Court of Disputed Returns. In the last 2 election petitions, I have won the 2 election petitions. In this 3rd term of my election victory, your mandate was once again challenged, which I defended until court made the decision on the 29th of last month of 2014, nullifying my election victory of 2012.
Mr. Wesley said he respects the court's decision, but that's not the end.
I personally humbly respect the decision of the court, and I urge all my supporters and my people of Samuai Murua to also respect the court's decision and allow due process to take its course. In the meantime, my lawyers are now reviewing the decision and they will advise what legal avenues are available.
Mr. Wesley thanked the people of Samurai Murua who gave him the mandate to represent them in Parliament for 3 consecutive terms. Should there be a by-election, Mr. Wesley said he will contest. Deli Bagu, National EMTV News.
Purari Incorporated Landowner Company, Purari Development Trust, has raised environmental concerns on the impact of mining activities in the Purari River Basin. Mining in the Elk, Antelope, Purari Hydro Development and the Crater mines are potentially harmful to marine plants and animals. These environmental consequences were highlighted in an interview with EMTV today. Coastal communities are concerned that the government is not serious about mineral resource plans in the country. That's from the people of Karkar Island in Madang, who are against seabed mining by Nautilus Minerals. All these come amidst the Mining and Petroleum Conference currently underway in Sydney, Australia.
In 2012, a petition to stop the advance of seabed mining in the country saw 9,200 Karkar Islanders sign on. Total signatures collected from Papua New Guineans and people all over the world reached 24,000. This petition was handed to the concerned minister, Byron Chan.
Since then, we haven't heard anything back from Minister Chen. What we have got back is that Nautilus was able to meet with the mining department and the government of Papua New Guinea in Sydney, Australia last year to settle some disputes, which has enabled Nautilus to come back into Papua New Guinea and start their operations here.
People from Karkar still maintain their stance, saying the government should not leave them out when it comes to making decisions that will affect their welfare and livelihoods.
People belong. Now this is thinking belong. Kaman pushing strong long. Nautilus long come up in seabed mining. Miplo man meri no one bell.
So Miplo man meri stop along the coastal side. Daily life Miplo Miplo basing the Stolwara. I mean I say Miplo Stimoga Tagaga Miplo the Stolwara fees. Miplo Salim Pisi money, low buy clothes. Buy school people beginning na Miplo Stakising Kaikai long na Miplo Kaikai.
The PNG Chamber of Mines and Petroleum is hosting its biannual conference in Sydney this week. The theme of the conference, PNG Resources Expanding Horizons, speaks to the government's plan of breaking new grounds in the areas of coal and seabed mining. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is confident the nation's economy can ride out the slump of rising energy exports in the global resource industry. He said PNG would be able to bring national debt back below a legislated cap of 35% of GDP, despite oil price declines exceeding forecast expectations during the recent 16.2 billion kina budget, the nation's record budget.
Prime Minister O'Neill has played down the impact of slumping global energy prices in the country, now on the cusp of an energy boom fueled by LNG exports to Asia and expected to be one of the world's fastest growing economies next year. PNG is set to become the world's newest resource powerhouse, with world-beating growth forecast next year as new energy projects begin their first full operating year.
As many of you will know now, there are other gas projects on the horizon as well. Some are stranded projects with special needs. What we want to achieve in 2015 is the furtherance of those potential projects and a real focus on the downstream processing. We want to value add to the development of our petroleum sector's resources to the greatest possible extent.
Forecasts show that next year new projects will bring up to 20% GDP growth to the national economy. The Prime Minister said that the overall priority of his government was to bring stability to Papua New Guinea.
The government that I lead today has an overwhelming parliamentary support, and our underlying political stability remains very strong.
He said at the Mining and Petroleum Conference that the government was also considering a sovereign bond to debut next year on international debt markets and talking to credit agencies to better explain the country's debt strategy and political risks. Leon Jarari, National EMTV News, Sydney.
Mining Minister Byron Chan has addressed the resource sector at the Mining and Petroleum Conference in Sydney. He said despite the current slump in the global industry, the mining sector in PNG is largely unaffected. His statement comes on the back of the Prime Minister's assurance to investors.
Despite the fall of commodity prices in a cyclical mining industry, the O'Neill-Dion government is maintaining the positive stance when concerning the mining industry in Papua New Guinea. Minister Chan elaborated on the country's diversity and the new and promising developments in the industry that bring about the projected peak of the mining cycle.
PNG's leading reputation for its traditional porphyry-based gold and copper geology is now further embellished by the potential to diversify into other minerals, such as coal, mineral sands, molybdenum, and geothermal. Mining may have currently hit the pause button, but is merely in readiness for the next move to significant further development. Several world-class projects already await the next phase.
Among these, coal exploration, the 3 exploration companies are cooperatively spearheading: Waterford, Mayer Coal, and Pacific Mining Partners in the Gulf Province. A drilling program is underway. Similarly with mineral sands, where advanced exploration is being undertaken in Orokolo Bay, Salamaua, and Amazon Bay by Mayer Iron, Katana, and Titan Metals. Other minerals that are being explored and have the potential for further development are nickel, geothermal, and alluvial mining.
Last year, we decided to spend 10 million kina on an airborne geophysical mapping program. Basically using satellites, using radiomagnetics, whatever, to prove the occurrences of minerals sitting in the ground. We've started, and the results will speak for themselves, but we're encouraging government to start putting money into the ground, because the geological prospect of PNG, unlike our neighbors, is right up there among the top 5.
Leon Jarari, National MTV News, Sydney.
You're watching National MTV News. Among stories after the break, lack of security at Lae's Nadsap Airport blamed for the dawn raid yesterday. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Security guards on duty during the dawn raid at Lae's Nadsap Airport have blamed lack of security capacity at the airport. They say proper security fencing is required at the terminal and the areas surrounding the airport. Sylvester Gawi has this report.
Lae's Nadsap Airport is the second biggest airport in Papua New Guinea, with flight connections to all 4 regions in the country. Following yesterday's early morning raid at the airport, security guards have spoken about their inability to combat such attacks. There were 9 security guards on duty that night, a fraction of them contracted by Air New Guinea, while the other was from the National Airports Corporation. At around 2 a.m. on Monday, 30 armed men entered the Nadsap terminal, held up the security guards at gunpoint, and looted 3 shops, including the Travelers and Air New Guinea offices. Some passengers were also robbed. Their baggage and balloons were taken, and several valuables worth thousands of kina were stolen. Security guards have decried the presence of the Nadsap-based police unit at the time of the incident.
Still, investigation police by completing this work
The police hierarchy in Morobe province could not comment further on this, but investigations are still continuing. This was not the first time criminals have ransacked Nadsap Airport. About 15 years ago, there was a robbery at the airport in which a sum of 500,000 kina was stolen. To date, little has been done to improve security capacity at the Nadsap Airport. Sylvester Gawi, National MTV News, Lae.
Landowners in the newly established Juha LNG project impact area have called on developer ExxonMobil and the national government to consider their content plan. The landowners from the Petroleum Development License 9 area say the plan consists of high priority projects that the people prefer. Their call comes after seeing high impact projects in other PDL areas in the PNG LNG project being delayed or terminated.
The PDL-9 landowners from Hela and Western Province see the Jua content plan as the way to bring the most essential and desired services to the area. They say after being part signatories in the LBSA and UBSA signing in Kokopo 2009, much of the highly talked projects in Tari and Como have not started. Again, the landowners say the project is huge, but government's consideration is needed most.
Local content plan development is to best fit the interest of the people in the project impact areas.
First thing, people are something the footing. Hela Trans Highway from Hela to Western Province. And then you have township. Okay. And then you have growth center. Or roads, airstrips, schools.
They say the Jua people are happy to see this project reap benefits for Ella, Western Province and the country on the note that these key infrastructures are developed.
La developer na la gaman baba ni riba singa timila bilo discuss na talk na story na
ori mas sana bro destra content plan pro mi bla na ori anda bro destra focus na ori mas go ahead pro project mas.
Meanwhile, ExxonMobil told EMTV they have not received the content plan but are happy to respond to the letter after returning from the mining conference in Sydney. However, Exxon stated that the Jua project is unlikely to commence before 2020. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Today was a historic day for water provider Edaranu and the Central Provincial Government in extending water projects to parts of Central. A memorandum of agreement was signed between the two parties for feasibility studies to commence. The signing gives Edaranu special understanding to provide water services outside the city's perimeter.
The signing of the MOA will now allow Edaranu to develop and connect water pipes to the Hiri West areas. These will see Boira, Papalea, Roku and Porebada catered for under this agreement. Edaranu chairlady Mary Caro says it's not to compete with sister company Water PNG, but the good understanding in providing water services to the people.
To take that work on, we need to do a feasibility study first, Governor, and that will then enhance the rest of the work to be done. And that's why you'll notice in the room here technical people to witness this, so they know the implementation and the need of it to be taken on board as quickly as possible. And that's a significant thing in terms of working together with other brother and sister state-owned entities.
The chairlady says the feasibility study will take 3 to 4 months by engineering and project teams. Central Governor Kila Hauda says CPG is eager to see this project get started so people can benefit through the project.
LNG villages are looking forward to this project. We now have the money and we really want to start. Our people are waiting for their water. Water is an essential part of life.
Meanwhile, Director of Quarry Landowners commended the initiative and says it would be the first time to see Central people benefit from their own resource after many years.
And it's a good way forward now, and let's work together for the betterment of our people in Central Province and not forgetting also our Motu people who are also beneficiaries because of their.
Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Industry stakeholders treated delegates at the conference to updates from the country's major gas projects as well as an insight into future projects. Amongst them, the introduction of Total SA to the PNG mining industry by Total Exploration and Production President Jean-Marie Guillemot.
The Papua New Guinea mining sector has been facing challenging times, similar to many mining nations across the globe, and this has resulted from negative sentiments in the financial markets. This is in contrast to the country's oil and gas sector, which is experiencing an unprecedented period of activity and growth. Exploration is at an all-time high, and a number of highly prospective exploration wells were undertaken this year. Speaking at the conference, Esso Highlands Managing Director Peter Graham detailed that the PNG LNG project has spent 11 billion kina in Papua New Guinea, 2.7 billion of which went to landowners.
We installed hundreds of kilometres of pipeline and 2 modern gas processing facilities into one of the most remote, rugged and socially complex locations in the world. And we did so in an environmentally and socially responsible manner. Importantly, we've demonstrated what can be achieved in Papua New Guinea and have set the stage for future investments in this resource-rich nation.
He also added that he would be retiring as Managing Director of Esso Highlands. Relatively new to the PNG petroleum sector, French company Total SA has also made major strides with the Elk Antelope gas project. Jean-Marie Guillemot, president of Total E&P in Asia Pacific, bullishly stated that the gas project in the Gulf is only feasible with Total in the driving seat.
Overall, Total is recognized for its capacity in managing big projects. We have developed strong technical referentials covering both technology expertise and management methodology. And just to mention one key point, I think that Total has put a very strong importance on the time to be spent at the preparation stage in the initial conceptual and engineering study. This is a key to save unexpected surprises and time at the execution level.
On his part, Grant Christie from Talisman Energy defended Papua New Guinea in saying that Papua New Guinea has a clear and attractive fiscal framework and a prolific underexplored basin.
PNG is considered an extremely attractive piece in our business. Two very big reasons. One is the business environment, and the second one is the capabilities that we bring that I think fit really well with this environment.
Leanne Girari, National EMTV News, Sydney.
Mujewera has been appointed the Chief Operating Officer of Oktedi Mining Limited. Mr. Wera, who was previously General Manager of Government and External Relations, will succeed current MD Nigel Parker when he retires in February 2015. Mr. Wera will be the first Papua New Guinean to head the company.
I am very excited about being given this opportunity to take on this role, and I thank the board for having the confidence in me, and also I commend Nigel Parker for putting me up to take over from him. I think it means a lot for the mining industry and especially for Oktedi. After 34 years of operation, we now have a national manager to manage the mine going forward. So I think it provides the opportunity for other mines to follow suit.
And now a look at the finance news. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.3910 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3835 US, $0.4474 Australian dollars, $0.3041 euro, and 45.06 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed higher, coffee and copra closed lower. Crude oil closed higher, palm oil closed lower, and copper closed the day unchanged. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 52 points lower, the ASX closed 62 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed 66 points lower. National EMTV News continues after the break. Lae's Metropolitan Superintendent Ivan Lakatani praises his men for keeping order during the PNG Games. You're watching National EMTV News. To some news abroad now, and new footage has emerged of the devastation wreaked upon the Syrian border town of Kobani. It's now a desperate situation for families and children still in the area after months of fighting between Kurdish forces and ISIL militants.
Syria, the Kurdish town of Kobani. These pictures emerged after an advance against Islamic State. Survivors emerged from the rubble.
A mortar fell and hit us as I carried two of my daughters. They were injured in my arms. One was 7 years old. She was sent to Turkey and she died there. We brought her body back and buried her here in Kobani.
But it's only beneath the ground that the living can stay that way.
Don't little children deserve some mercy? Look, he has no shoes, few clothes, no belongings. Look, they are bombing us with heavy weapons. These dirty IS people won't leave us alone.
At first, the plight of Kobani was ignored by the international coalition's airstrikes, and then forced to the top of the agenda as refugees fled the city, begging for help. Here, Kurd refugees are trapped at the Turkish border. Istanbul has often been accused of failing to help the civilians who are being persecuted at their doorstep.
The Turks treat us badly. They don't allow us to enter Turkey and come back. They don't allow us to be fed. Nothing. Nothing. The Peshmerga sends us food and bread from inside the city.
In Kobani, an old factory has come back to life, but it's clear that for all this bread, it's going to be bullets that the Kurds most need.
The FBI has issued an urgent warning for the safety of American troops and their families on home soil. Authorities are concerned that a homegrown terror attack similar to the one in Canada 6 weeks ago conducted at the hands of an ISIL sympathizer.
The warning today was the strongest of its kind to date, aimed directly at the 1 million uniformed military personnel with a very visible presence across the U.S.
I think people should be concerned.
You just never know who's out there watching or hacking.
In its bulletin, the FBI and Homeland Security say ISIS is currently spotting and assessing individuals in the U.S. who could carry out attacks against soldiers, a much more serious threat than its standard call to jihad.
This sounds like it's much more specific. It's organized. ISIS is choosing the attackers and probably choosing the targets.
Members of the military are being told to scrub their Facebook and social media sites of any information or family pictures that could make them targets or provide their location.
Information mining is a real threat.
This video, produced by the Navy last year, emphasized the vulnerabilities.
A geotagged picture from a foreign airfield, a post counting the days until the next deployment.
This is an environment that this particular enemy has proven adept at using, and we don't want to give them any more advantage than they're already trying to gain.
And this FBI warning comes in the wake of 2 separate and deadly attacks in Canada by supposed ISIS followers, targeting uniformed soldiers there.
Back home, and unlike other major events in Lay's events calendar for this year, the recent BSP 6th PNG Games was the highlight of the year, as it not only brought memorable events to all, but a trouble-free event. Lay's Metropolitan Superintendent Ivan Lakatani has praised the Lay public for their good behavior during the 2 weeks of the PNG Games. Overall, police did not encounter any major incidents over the 14 days of the Games.
Lay police boss said the behavior of the general public at the recent 6 BSP PNG Games in Lay has been of great help to police. No major problems encountered during the Games period. One of the reasons this has happened was due to the liquor ban that was imposed during the opening and closing ceremonies.
The people have behaved very well during the last 2 weeks. And the success of this, the Games is basically the result of the good behavior of the people.
Police maintained a strong presence during the 2 weeks with foot patrols around the Games venue. More than 500 police and military personnel were engaged in the operations. They set up roadblocks and controlled traffic. Part of the 2 million kina funding from the Morobe provincial government was paid for security operations.
But in general, everything went very well. All right. That's why all the games were completed.
Lay police will continue working through the festive period. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Lay.
Meanwhile, police boss Ivan Lakatani has commended the work of police and described it as better than previous years. Police were able to hold the fort for more than 14 days to maintain law and order during the PNG Games. The use of mobile phones and social media were identified as the key factors that enabled effective communication during the Games period.
In major events, policing has been the key element in maintaining stability and order. Unlike other big events held in the Morobe province in previous years, the security aspect of the recent 6th BSP PNG Games was arguably a remarkable one. Much of the credit has been attributed to the use of mobile phones, particularly the closed user group network that enabled effective communication between police command and officers on the ground.
Even when we ran out of unit, at least CUG was there to help us. So we were able to make free calls or any urgent situations.
The increased use of social media, particularly Facebook, has also been a significant contributor to effective communication within the police force. Public contribution on the social media about instances of crime had assisted in the deployment of troops where necessary. What has been a worry for the Leh police force is the number of personnel available to maintain law and order on a peak period, such as the PNG Games, when people flocked into Leh in unprecedented numbers.
When we deploy everybody, all get venues. The only means that we, is to communicate by radio or mobile phone. So with that assistance, Amy helping me in terms of communication.
Leh is known for all the wrong reasons, but this perception about the city has been challenged when more than 500 policemen and women, including members of the IGAM-based PNG DF personnel, were called in to support police work during the PNG Games. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Leh.
Trukai Sports is up next. We'll bring to you boxing, cricket and rugby league. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. A new record has been set by the NCD boxing team at the recent BSP 6th PNG Games in Leh by winning 6 gold medals. In the last PNG Games in 2012, the team won 1 gold, in 2009, 3 gold, and in 2005, 4 gold medals. NCD boxing head coach Mark Keto is pleased with the improvement and impressed with the performances of the boxers at the PNG Games. The boxers that have won gold will now be joining the national squad in preparation for the national championships in Goroka. The national championships will be held on the 22nd to the 25th of January early next year and is a qualifier for the 2015 Pacific Games. 5 PNG Barramundi players have been selected into a team of the tournament following a successful Pepsi ICC EAP Men's Trophy competition. The team of the tournament comprises 12 athletes from 4 countries. The player of the tournament was tied between Barra's Lega Siaka and Riyad Khan from Fiji.
The 5 Barras selected are Lega Siaka, Tony Ura, Asadola Vala, Mahuru Dai and Willie Gavera. The other 7 players include Seko Veravoka, Riyad Khan and Viviame Manakitoga, all from Fiji. Jalani Chilia and Jonathan Dan from Vanuatu and Ben Malaita from Samoa. The player of the tournament was tied between Lega Siaka, who amazed a whopping 256 runs at a strike rate of 191.04 for the tournament, and Riyad Khan from Fiji, who was the leading wicket taker for the tournament with 19 wickets at an economy rate of 3.89. Barras outclassed Vanuatu in the final match of the Pepsi ICC EAP Men's Trophy and booked themselves a place at the next year's ICC World 2020 qualifier. While Fiji secured a place alongside Vanuatu in the next year's World Cricket League Division 6 after beating Samoa in the final of the 50-over competition. Fiji qualified for the final with an emphatic win over Japan, while Samoa earned their passage into the playoff with an equally comprehensive win over the Philippines. Fiji was up and about right from the outset in the field as the Samoa top order crumbled under the pressure of the Fijian attack. At 7 for 21, things were looking disastrous for Fiji until Faso Mulivai came to the crease and made a quick 27. However, in the end, 73 was all his side could manage. In reply, Fiji were never troubled as they cruised past the total and into the World Cricket League Division 6 with 9 wickets in hand in 9.5 overs. Joe Ricker, the key man with the bat, making his second half century in as many days.
Work put into it, a lot of sacrifices for not just these guys but the boys who were in the first part of the tour. We've started from scratch with our squad and we've built into something special, and this is leading into the future. We know cricket's in good hands, and World Cricket League 6 is a good way to start.
Oh, very proud of the boys. They did it all themselves today. We had prepared for a long time and worked really hard, but at the same time you still got to turn up and do it on the day, and that's what they did.
Tere Alex, National EMTV Sports.
The Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup Rugby League competition is all set to kick off in January 2015. Ipatas Cup CEO Timothy Lepa says 64 teams will take part in the off-season competition, with Kimbe to host the NGI Challenge.
The 2015 Coca-Cola Epatus Cup will kick off on January 3rd with the Northern Challenge at the Lay Rugby League ground. Eastern Highlands, Jimbu, Western Highlands and Jiwaka will follow on from January 16th, and Southern Highlands, Enga and Hela Challenge will be on 24th and 25th of January. NCD's Central and the Kimbe Challenge will kick off in February. CEO Timothy Leper announced this during the presentation of the 2014 Epatus Cup report to major sponsor Coca-Cola Amatil yesterday afternoon.
With my coordinators and the technical team support, we have come that far. 2013-14 report was budget. Now officially I want to present the report to Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola Amatil has again increased its sponsorship to 95,000 kina for the Epatus Cup 2015. Epatus Cup in the last 16 years has been able to identify rugby talents from the most remote parts in the country. The concept itself has given exposure to many raw talents who have excelled to play in the Digicel Cup.
And we've been doing this for the last 18 years. And every year when the competition is end, we do report to our sponsor telling them that this is how we spend. And everything, from bad things to good things, everything. But we need to polish, we need to move up, and everything is in the report. So
a total of 64 teams have confirmed participation, including teams from as far as the remote Enga and Chimbu from the Highlands region, and Thalassia, Kendrian and Oskins in West New Britain. The finals will be played in Ley, and the grand final will be at Haipus Rugby League ground in Wabek, Enga province. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV Sports, Ley.
Trukai Sports continues with volleyball and touch rugby after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Poreporena Volleyball Tournament has been the focal point of identifying and grooming unsung heroes. It was truly a nice way to engage youth from Hanobada and Poreporena. The finals ended over the weekend.
The buzz in Metoria Park in Hanwabada village ended a flaring season of volleyball over the weekend. The regulars, including undefeated reigning kings Wambesi, took to the court their traditional winning game plan. An additional boost for Wambesi with t-shirts from EMTV entertainment brand Vocal Fusion.
Wambesi, we are in this competition. Even before, this team was one of the top teams in our competition. And until now, we are still the best. We are still the best team and the best club. And we are still the best players.
Identifying raw talent in this Motuan village has been a success over the years.
When the nationals were held last month in Ley, we had about 4 of our players, 2 in the under-21 division and 2 in the senior grade. They turned up for national championships. So it's been a bonus for them to come back and to put an input into the club at the right time.
Aroa Ben Moide is the assistant strength and conditioning with the SPPNG Antis. The enthusiasm for volleyball is obvious and can be seen in the support he gives to the Wambesi Volleyball Club. The games took its form right to the end. The Wambesi match was the last match of the day. After 2 sets each, the supporters rose up in a commotion and the match was called off. Tere Alex, National EMTV Sports.
PNG's mixed touch rugby team has been hard at training at the High Performance Training Centre. The team will take part in the New South Wales Championship starting Friday 5th December. The 14-member squad will depart tomorrow for Sydney, Australia.
The players went through their drills as part of their final preparations for their international tournament kickoff on Friday.
On the bones and the joints. That's where the joints are.
The mixed team had a session with Tom Frost discussing partnership programs available overseas relating to athletes' performance both on field and off field, screening of athletes, types of nutrition, proposed research programs relating to athletes, insurance and medical plans.
This trip we're taking down 14 players. We got 7 boys and 7 girls making the mixed open team. The process was good. Most of the players have passed the selection process, and preparations for this trip has been really good. The guys have been working in the gym and also on the field as well.
He also said it's an opportunity for athletes to play at international level as part of preparations for the 2015 Pacific Games next year.
This year's trip to the New South Wales State Championships, which commences on the 5th of December, will be in Port Macquarie. That's in Sydney as well. So both the players, the men and women, have been preparing very well, and I think we should be able to bring some results back from this trip and move forward to the next one, which is the World Cup.
The team will leave tomorrow for a week in Sydney, accompanied by coach and team manager. This tournament is also a lead-up to the World Cup Championships in Sydney next year. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
And that does it for Trukai Sports tonight. The weather details after these messages. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, Port Moresby and Daru, fine. Mostly fine for Kerema and Alotau, and late evening showers for Popendetta. To the Momasa region, all centres, few showers except Medang. You can expect evening showers. To the New Guinea Islands, Lorengau, Kavieng and Rabaul, few showers. Kimbe and Buka, you can expect evening showers. And to the Highlands region, all centres, evening showers, then morning fog. Taking a look at these forecasts for small ships, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait, Daru, Kiwai Island, Kerema, Yule Island, Hood Point, Aroma Coast, Samarai Island, Cape Vogel, Wasu Point to Finchafen, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of New Island, New Britain, Bougainville, Eastern and Western Milne Bay Islands, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Finchafen, including Vitias Strait, Siasi Islands, west of Long Island, Medang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo, Northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 1 to 2 meters. And waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 1 to 1.5 meters. And taking a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas, Coral Sea and Bismarck Sea, seas light to moderate with southeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots. Solomon Sea, seas light with southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And the Pacific Ocean, seas light with northeast to southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 2nd of December 2014. From the EMTV News team, I'm Mary Batulo. Pleasant viewing. Good night.